Oh, just from the parts?
Yeah, because you never get the whole bug, right? You just get
Right.
and
So you could find like a little pincher, like a left side
Yeah.
pincher from a certain kind of ant or something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how, but I'm sure
Like a left
it's probably
shark.
something to do with food safety. Like, oh, this doesn't mean you have botulism; it just means you have a lot of sugar.
It's here. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like, man, it's like, yeah, like we're really careful, but hey, stuff happens. That's why I always wash the tops of any 12-ounce can I get. Always.
Anybody who's swallowed a fly has taken in more insects than you get in normal consumption of food.
That's true. I swallowed a fly once.
But the flies, I'm worried about them.
I don't know why you swallowed a fly.
I guess
I hope not.
Second, what I ever did was rode a dirt bike through a neighbor's lawn,
and
it was raining. I was probably 9 or 10. I have a very strong memory of this.
Were you doing donuts?
I wasn't, but I was just trying to get home because it was practice for something, and I was trying to rush home, not get too wet in the rain. And I ran over some giant dog poop on the lawn.
Oh God!
And it went flip, 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 and then a whole chunk of it came up and just smacked me right in the face. And I ended up just kind of wiping out on the grass and kind of laying there like some kind of fool.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I'll never forget it.
I bet you won't. I might not forget the description of it.
Giving you something new to not forget.
Yeah.
It's good for our impending dementia that we're all going to have.
Oh, you're the dog poop guy. I can't remember your name. We're going to have a Diamond Club, old Frog Pants Diamond Club old folks home.
Yeah, but you're going to have 2 old guys named Justin and Brian in a chair making all the noise.
You know what?
Trying to get some sleep.
If they can get all that kind of cyborgy stuff where you can like basically back up your memories, like not just photos, but your actual memories, that would be kind of cool. Because as you get into your later years and you suffer from, whatever memory or mental disorders, you can kind of like, oh, I would like to remember, but I can't. You just press a button.
Yeah, the neural lace, man, the neural lace.
Neural lace. Old something lace. What's the old?
Arsenic and old lace?
Yeah, arsenic and old neural lace.
Sounds like a cocktail.
Yeah, a little bit.
I like a neural lace, please. Oh, it's vodka and rum.
Neural lace will make you a neural ace.
Yeah. Come on over to Ace Hardware, where you can get a Ace.
Oh, you guys have Ace Hardware?
Yeah, we have a few. Not too many.
They're all franchisees or something. No, It's a co-op is what it is.
Is it a co-op?
Yeah, something weird. It's not like it's a chain, but it's not a chain.
Yeah, we have those, and we have Home Depot, of course. We have Lowe's, and we have, I forgot the other one. There's one more.
Osh. Do you have an Osh?
No.
No Osh.
That one's not familiar.
Orchard Supply Hardware. I think that's just a California one. Oh, you do have that.
California? I thought we had one. Orchard Supply?
Orchard Supply Hardware. Osh.
That sounds familiar.
It's more consumer friendly.
Well, it's one thing how I can tell in certain movies whoever wrote it never lived where they set the movie. Because there was one where it was set in Staten Island, and the guy it was like a mob movie, and he was calling his wife before he, killed himself because he knew too much and it was going to happen anyway. He said, I'm going to go down to the Osh. I was like, I don't think there's an Osh out anywhere.
Maybe he ad-libbed it.
Here it is.
He wasn't the writer.
There's one in Salt Lake and one in Orem. There's 2 here. I knew I'd seen these.
That started out as a farmers cooperative too.
Those are probably, they may be co-ops still too. I don't know.
I like them. I prefer Orchard in so much that the people there actually are helpful. And that's not to say people at Lowe's.
It's time for the show.
But it's, sorry. All right. Disappearing.
Hold that thought.
Hold your orchard.
All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Daily Tech News Show is powered by you, the audience. We're funded entirely by you, not advertisements. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/support. This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, March 29th, Samsung Day 2017. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me, Scott Johnson. How was your happy Samsung Day?
Wearing my Samsung pants. I have my Samsung hat somewhere in here.
I do have a Samsung hat.
Samsung today. It really is, though. This is all the tech I've been hearing about all day today.
I should have been wearing my Samsung Lions hat that I got at the baseball game in South Korea, where they cheer Samsung and then some other things that I don't remember. But it was kind of fun to just be sitting there. It was actually right after the first Note 7 recall. And we were at the game, and there are all these fans cheering Samsung. I'm like, well, at least they're happy.
Yeah.
Well,
baseball.
Well, it was Samsung's big return with the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus. First phones they've announced since the Note 7 recalls.
Yeah, and we're going to get to talk a lot about those, and I think it's going to be fun to talk about them outside of the context of the Notes catching on fire.
Yes.
The previous
no one caught on fire during this.
Exactly. And none of these that are coming out, none of this that has been announced are even sequels to that. So everyone just relax. Let Samsung have a moment, and we'll talk more about it.
We'll talk more about it in a bit. Let's start with a few other tech things you should know. NBC announced it'll broadcast all of its 2018 Olympics coverage live. No more delayed primetime broadcasts on the West Coast and Mountain Time zones.
Yeah, heard about this. Doesn't surprise me. They got to do what they got to do. I'll see you at 3 a.m., everybody. Security researcher. Oh, go ahead. What are you going to say?
I just said woohoo. That's all.
Security researcher Tavis Ormandy, he's been on the show a lot lately, has discovered another vulnerability in LastPass. With the company is working on a fix, I guess. Users are advised to copy passwords from LastPass in the vault and enable two-factor authentication on any site that offers it. And just my own little addition here. Always enable two-factor authentication on any site that supports it.
Yeah, for sure. Tavis Ormandy is working overtime to keep LastPass secure.
No kidding.
Google launched opensource.google.com, providing a central directory for all its open source projects. They'll still have their stuff on GitHub as well, but it's a nice, convenient place to look up all the stuff they're doing. Now, here are some more top stories. Microsoft's Windows 10 Creators Update will start rolling out worldwide on April 11th. It's the way they do this now is if you don't do anything, sometime in the first couple weeks after April 11th, you'll get the update. If you want to go and get it right away, you can make it come on April 11th, but that's the earliest of the official release. Forget about insiders, previews, and release to manufacturing and all that. Among the new features are support for mixed reality devices like the HoloLens, a dedicated game mode, new nightlight mode, parental controls, things like screen time limits, the new Paint 3D, that's good in VR, ebooks coming to the Windows Store. You read them in the Microsoft Edge browser. And several of the reviews that I read today said, as goofy as that sounds, it actually works pretty well. Microsoft also announced its Surface Book and Surface Studio going on sale in more markets April 20th. Surface Book coming to a lot of markets. Surface Studio just coming to 3 new ones.
So what's interesting for me are two things in this, from my perspective. And I come obviously with a very particular piece of bias when talking about their creators update. And that is I want Windows to become a more robust sort of art station, and I'm very interested in the current Studio Pro or Surface Pro rather, the Surface Studio rather, and its future incarnations. The word on the street that I heard from a very insider person that I can't say his name, so I can't say if any of this is true or not, except that if you already have a Studio, you may see better performance, meaning less lag with the pen, better screen performance, that sort of stuff with your Surface Studio. If that's true, that immediately puts the Surface Studio back in consideration for me. If not this version, then whatever the next revision will be. So
was that person Batya Badella?
It was not, but it was close to. It was a guy who was sweating real bad and rooting for the Clippers. I don't know what's going on with that guy.
No, I mean, Windows 10 is going to make the Surface Studio better is really not a big secret. Like, it really should. Honestly, that should just be expected.
Yeah, you'd hope so. And the other thing is, the dedicated game mode. I don't think people should discount that too quickly. It's a lot like a TV support this, for example. And it's not. I know it's not quite apples for apples here, but the idea that your hardware can behave in a way that is best optimized for game performance is a thing that a lot of people are going to be happy about. You're going to get more mileage out of the video cards you already have. You're going to just extend the lifespan of your system a little bit longer. We need to see how it works in reality, but I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big update, but in some respects, there are not like ridiculously advanced features or things that are going to change the way you use Windows. There also aren't a lot of "we're catching up" features anymore. There's not a lot of "hey, we're bringing the start menu back. We know you guys didn't like that." This is definitely an evolutionary update, but it's kind of a nice stable update where they can just add features. It kind of reminds me of Windows 98, the Plus pack. It's giving you some cool new stuff. You could probably live without it, but it's not bad if it's got the thing that you've been waiting for.
Yeah, to me, it's almost like a philosophical update. This is them putting a brand on the update and saying, all right, well, here's a big push for creatives as an example, and for our AR VR plans and all this other stuff just feels very forward thinking. It doesn't feel like they're fixing things. It feels like they're adding things. I think that's really good for them. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution preventing new ISP privacy rules from the FCC to go into effect. I found this to be a bummer. There's my editorial for today. The rules would have required ISPs to get user consent, that means me and you, before selling consumer information like browser history, that sort of stuff. Opponents of the rules think ISPs should abide by the same rules as internet companies like Google and Facebook, who already sort of have to adhere to this. The bill now goes to the president to be signed into law.
So there's a lot of confusion about what's actually happening here among the outrage. There are currently no rules for ISPs regarding your privacy. So they're not repealing rules. They're preventing new rules from going into place. These rules were put in place by the FCC under Tom Wheeler, were set to go into effect mostly in December, and this bill actually stops the FCC from doing that. So the current chairman, Ajit Pai, doesn't have to take any action. The Congress is saying, no, FCC, you don't get to put these kind of rules in place. So a lot of people are saying, oh, they're taking away our privacy. You didn't have any before. This was going to give you some privacy, and now it won't. And I know that might sound like splitting hairs to some of you, but this isn't actually changing the way ISPs were working up until now. So you can argue that maybe they haven't taken advantage of their ability to access your private data because they knew these rules were coming, but these rules haven't been voted on forever. They've been able to sell your data. So there are other pressures to keep ISPs from releasing your data. This will just not put one of those pressures as a law or a guideline from the FCC. It also means that the other side of that argument that's saying, oh, well, Google and Facebook, they get to share your browsing history, so why shouldn't ISPs? There is no rule for the ISPs. They actually get to do more with your private data under the current rules than Google or Facebook does, because Google or Facebook have to abide by the FTC rules. And because ISPs are categorized as a common carrier, the FTC cannot regulate them. So we've gone from a position of, oh, we were going to have these rules to protect privacy, but now the Congress has said, no, we want to stop those rules, but we have no rules on the table yet.
Right. I guess my frustration or whatever internet anger I have about this is more about the preemptive nature of it. The idea that we want to block any existing ideas for rules and also make it harder for rules to be put in place seems like a preemptive strike towards people's ability to control their own information. Now, whether or not it pans out to be that way, I'm with you that if people are going to be upset about this, I think they should be as upset as they can be about the factual nature of it, like what is actually happening, not what's being taken away, but what is actually happening, since nothing's being taken away. It's the preemptive nature that gets me and kind of crawls up my skirt. I don't like it. But then again, who knows? In 5 years, I may look back and go, boy, I'm sure glad we didn't allow that, because there was a lot of weird rules that were going to go into place and they were far overreaching or whatever. I suppose you could have any argument, call it 2020 foresight that we want. But as it stands right now, I just don't love the idea that they can sort of wholesale sell my stuff and use it any which way they please. And I'm not even a guy that worries that much about internet security. I want to be secure, my passwords and stuff, but I don't care that much about where my face is or what I said gets out there or whatever. And even it bugs me. So I can understand why people are upset, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think, there's lots of things that bother me about this. I don't want the ISPs to be able to access my social security number, my financial information, children's information, browsing history. I don't want them to have the right to do that. The best way to discourage them from doing that is what should be under debate. But instead, what we got is nothing. All they did was knock down rules that were going to go into place. That's why I'm making a point of saying that is we didn't do anything to increase your privacy. We didn't decrease your privacy either, though, because we didn't have any in the United States. So on the one hand, that can be comforting. The ISPs have not been doing anything terribly horrible. They've made some mistakes along the way, and they've been outed and shamed into stopping them. And maybe that's good enough. Maybe that's what will continue, is just keep that sunshine on the ISPs whenever they try to overreach, embarrass them in public to where they come back. But, we haven't had the nightmare scenario up till now. So we have to find another way from stopping that. And I'm disappointed that Congress didn't see fit to say, you know what, we do need some privacy regulations. So we're going to take away the FCC's privacy rules and replace them with these, which we think are better. They didn't do that. Yeah. they just left it as it is with no rules whatsoever.
Yeah. Or at the very least, even if they don't have anything prepared to replace it, and I'm not trying to make a reference to anything else here, folks. Even if they don't have a good plan for replacing what those rules are or what those potential rules are, they're really bad about just getting in front of it and explaining it, being, educating people as to what this was. It seemed to come out of nowhere. People weren't really prepared for it. And so there's two things at play. One, them not really communicating it very well. And two, a large portion of the population already thinking they have some kind of weird privacy rules in place that don't exist. And that's on us.
I mean, if anything, that's the message should be like, hey, guys, you didn't have any to begin with. So if you want any, you're going to have to put some pressure on your representative or your ISP. And if we had a system in the United States where you had several ISPs to choose from and you could just put pressure by choosing the one that gives you the most privacy protection, that might work. But that's not the system we have either. And again, Congress didn't do anything to say, and what we're going to do is we're going to reclassify ISPs and get them under the FTC, or we're going to encourage competition. We're going to put in this plan that will allow you to have multiple choices and lots of competition in the marketplace. They didn't do anything. All they did was stop something from happening. It's pretty obstructionist, really.
Yeah, if only, Tom, we had some kind of, I don't know, electronic public wide-reaching bulletin board service that could post information about these things before it happens. That'd be great.
Right.
We have that.
Intel says its forthcoming 10 nanometer Cannon Lake chips will be a full generation ahead of Samsung, Qualcomm, and TSMC. Intel promises 25% more performance, 45% lower power, and an actual shipping deadline of the end of this year. So we're going to get 10 nanometer chips out of Intel before the end of the year. At least that's what Intel promises. Qualcomm already produces a 10 nanometer chip, for example, the Snapdragon 835. That's the one inside the Samsung Galaxy S8. Intel says it has a better feature density, though, so it can have twice the transistors of, say, a Qualcomm 10 nanometer chip. Intel also released its new marketing terms, 10 Plus and 10 Plus Plus, for future versions of Cannon Lake as they add more features to it. And then, of course, there'll be a new code name for the 7 nanometer chips. Those are expected to arrive in 3 years.
So who's their main market share for who's using their mobile chips? I don't know the answer to this. I didn't look it up, and I'm kind of springing it on
Not
you.
a lot.
It's not a lot.
Mostly tablets. Yeah.
Tablets.
But this is not about that.
There's some Chinese handsets that use them I found earlier today.
Yeah, this is about all their chips, not just mobile chips.
Okay, all right. I just always wonder. I mean, every time anything comes up about what's being used in current phones, and it's never Intel, it always makes me worry about Intel because I just feel like
I mean, Intel has missed that boat. Intel is trying to make chips that continue to be used in desktops, laptops, and tablets where they can make a little bit of progress because of Windows 10 being tablet friendly, and Internet of Things. They're going for Internet of Things and AI and all of that.
Yeah. Well, good luck to them, I say. I think they missed the boat. Anyway.
But the Cannon Lake chips, just to be clear, the Cannon Lake chips are for their entire range. They do still make mobile chips, and they will continue to make those mobile chips.
Right. Which is good. Mobile chips are the best kind of chips. Mobile chips.
The
navigation app Waze, currently owned by Google, now allows users to place food orders for faster pickup or with its order ahead feature, initially partnering with Dunkin' Donuts. I like Dunkin' Donuts. Users must pick favorite items in the Dunkin' Donuts app, and then Waze can place the order at the nearest location with a single tap. And all right, I'm kind of all in on this. I was trying to think of better ways to use my Waze app because I don't drive a ton anymore, but I sure do like Dunkin' Donuts. So I'm about to have my worlds collide, I think.
Okay, but this is one of those things that sounds great. I'm on the road and I'm headed to Dunkin' Donuts and now I want to order ahead. Dangerous to do that while you're driving. So don't do that. Either have a passenger do it or do it before you leave. And if you were about to leave, why didn't you just do it in the Dunkin' Donuts app to begin with?
Good point. So what do you think this is? Just nice and little marketing fun between.
It's marketing fun, right? Like it gets a lot of people to hear the words Dunkin' Donuts. It gets Waze to be able to say, hey, folks who are buying ads with us, here's an extra feature if you buy ads with us that can even lead to maybe some conversions of sales. I'm skeptical how many people will actually take advantage of this. I mean, not that the safety thing will be the problem. It's more the annoyance of like, I'm driving and I want to order Dunkin' Donuts, but I never set up my preferences in the Dunkin' Donuts app. I'll have to remember to do that someday. Also, I don't know exactly how do I tap? Do I tap right now and order? Like, it just starts to narrow the funnel too much for me.
Yeah, I'm in the same place I've been for a long time, and that is when we get far enough with Apple and Google's voice assistants and Echoes and everything else out there with voice assistants, where I can just casually at any sort of inflection just say, order ahead some Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
Be there in 5 minutes, and have that natural language translate to the thing I wanted to do. I never took my hands off the wheel. I didn't have to think very hard about it.
I didn't have to set anything up. I can just say 2 chocolate glazed, 2 old fashioned, and boom, done.
And done. Yeah. And then I'm done. And it even pipe up and say which donut place. These are the ones close to you. Oh, take Dunkin'. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And that's it. And have it be that efficient. I know we're not there yet, but that's where all this ends up. This is just
I'm kind of verging on damning a feature for not being as advanced as it might become someday. Maybe this is the step they need to take to get to what you're talking about. Sure. Because you can plug this thing into Google Assistant and all of that, but it just doesn't feel like it's as cool as they want us to think it is.
Well, that's how you need your interim step to be. It needs to be wicked cool for the time it's here. Like VR. VR is nowhere near where it's going to be, but it's in a place. As much as we'll laugh at it in 10 years as to how wired up it was and big and heavy and everything, it's in a place that is super cool anyway, right? And totally works and does what it needs to do and is just the right stepping stone to the next level. This does not feel like one of those. This feels like a weird tacked on ad.
Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in around 5 minutes, subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com, our sister podcast, or brother podcast, our sibling podcast. And now it's time to discuss the Samsung announcement. All right, I'm going to give you the download right now. Okay, Scott?
Hey, all right.
There's a lot. One of the reasons I said around 5 minutes is Daily Tech Headlines was like almost 6 minutes because of all the Samsung announcements. Samsung announced its Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus go on sale April 21st here in the US. The S8 is a 5.8-inch screen. The S8 Plus is a 6.2-inch screen. They both have the curved around the sides infinity screen, 2960 by 1440 Super AMOLED, tiny bezels on the top and bottom, so it's virtually all screen on the front. Both of them have the 2:1 aspect ratio. Remember, LG pioneered that. It's 18:9 if you want to compare it to 16:9, so it's a little longer than your widescreen aspect ratio. Supports HDR10. There's a dedicated button for the Bixby Assistant, which is a voice assistant, but also can do some cool things with the camera where you can point it at something and Bixby will be able to recognize the object and show you like a shopping page or a Pinterest page. As I mentioned, Snapdragon 835 inside, has an SD card slot if that's your deal. 12 megapixel rear camera, 8 megapixel front camera, not dual cameras. Uses a virtual home button with haptic feedback on the front, so similar to what the iPhone does, but the fingerprint sensor on the S8 is on the back. Also has an iris scanner, so you can unlock it with your face. There's a USB-C port, a headphone jack, Bluetooth 5.0, so it can do that extra bandwidth, extra range stuff like power 2 Bluetooth speakers at once. Comes with Android 7.0 and smaller batteries because batteries and Samsung are a thing that people are careful about these days. 3,000 milliamp hour battery for the S8, 3,500 milliamp hour battery for the larger S8 Plus. Samsung also announced DeX, which is a dock that has USB and HDMI ports. You pop your S8 into the DeX and you can use it like a desktop computer. S8 and S8 Plus available in black, gray, and silver in the US and also in gold and blue around the world. And the S8 can do carrier aggregation, 4x4 MIMO, and 256 QAM signal, which means It can do up to a gigabit of speed on a compatible network like T-Mobile. Pre-orders start tomorrow. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, they start on Thursday, March 30th at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time. Prices are set by the carrier. I saw Verizon as cheap as $729. Usually the S8 starts at $750 and it goes up to around $899 depending where you get it.
Sexy device. I mean, the thing that jumps out immediately is the screen is kind of gorgeous. I don't know what this means in terms of, everybody keeps talking about a bezel-less design for Apple's 10th anniversary phone. And since that's sort of seen, in the market anyway, as their chief competition from a design standpoint, it will be interesting to see if they do anything. But I noticed that not only do you get this slick screen, you get a nice, slick device in general, but this thing appears to have they went ahead and included a 3.5 millimeter jack on the thing.
Yep.
So your regular old headphones, folks, still a thing if you're an Android person. So go for it.
Oh, if you're a Samsung person, there's some other Android phones that have gotten rid of the headphone jack, but Samsung is like, nope, we're keeping it around for you.
And I thought, for a hot minute, I thought maybe they were going to chuck it, and there were rumors to that effect that the S8 wouldn't include a headphone jack. But part of me conspiratorially wonders if they kept it as a
crowd pleaser.
Yeah, like one less.
Enough people are mad at us about batteries catching fire. Let's leave the headphone jack in.
Yeah, exactly. But also, real quick to the point about thinner batteries. We all know all the stories and what was happening. We've talked a billion times on the show about what happened with the Notes or the Note 7. Is just going thinner going to solve the problem? We had a great guest on last week talking about this, and he seemed to suggest anyway that not trying to increase density will do you some favors in terms of the problems that those phones were having. But is it worth losing? I don't know. What a weird balance, right? Do I want to be on fire or do I want to have a lot more battery life? And
I'd rather not be on fire. So there's your answer. And other companies are able to use bigger capacity batteries without catching on fire. So Samsung's just being extra careful here. They did say that the way they've created these batteries, they should last longer in terms of, before they die out and you need to replace them. So that's kind of a nice perk. But if they don't last long enough during the day, that's going to be a problem for people.
Yeah. Plus, again, it's anecdotal, but everyone I talk to says the 835, the Snapdragon chip, that specific chip is pretty battery efficient. So maybe it'll be fine.
That helps.
They'll meet in the middle here somewhere and it won't be a problem.
But remember, poor Samsung. I feel so bad for them because it's a legitimate question given the Note 7, but the Galaxy never had a problem. There's no reason to believe that the Galaxy S8 would have a problem, but they just have to do this for optics.
Yeah, they do. It's purely that. And
because we'd associate Samsung with battery problem now, and it's unfortunate. But
now, if this
this is a beautiful phone, we shouldn't have to be talking about its battery. If it weren't for the Note 7 problems, we wouldn't be. We'd be talking about how underwhelming this is because it's a pretty phone, but it hasn't added a lot of features. That seems to be the other rub here. Is Samsung has made a beautiful phone, but phones are at a point where you really can't wow people much anymore.
Right. That screen is wowing me. I'll be honest. But beyond that, I think you're
pretty.
Totally right. Here's where it's going to matter to them. If they can launch this and it reviews well and people are happy with the S8, great. But I know a lot of Android and Samsung users specifically who wait around for the Note releases. Those are the phones they want and love, and they felt really burned. Again, I didn't mean to use the word burned in that regard.
Or did you?
Really let down, let's say, with the 7 regarding that problem and the things that most of them didn't even ever have an actual problem with the battery. They just couldn't get on airplanes with their phones or things like that would happen.
Well, yeah, they had to send them back. They couldn't use them anymore. Whether even if they weren't the problem that some of the others were.
So that's the hard sell here. You got to.
So here you've done it again. You've brought it back to the Note 7. Poor Samsung.
I keep doing it, but my point was this: there's this market of Note lovers, and they are dedicated to the Note line. I know people who love that line of phones, and they're going to be the ones to please here because they don't necessarily want the S8. They want the next Note. So all I'm saying is, hopefully, when that comes around, assuming it does come around, the Note doesn't let them down. I guess
Samsung also announced a new Gear VR headset coming April 21st. It's $129 bundled together with the new motion controller. That's the one that has a little trigger on it. They talked about this one at CES. It can be purchased separately for $39 if you already have a Gear VR and you don't want to. You just want to use this with that. Oculus, which is behind the VR stuff for Samsung, promises 20 titles that'll use that new motion controller coming in the next month. Oculus also updated Oculus Home to boot up faster and look clearer and include a VR browser. A modest update. Most people were excited about this controller when Samsung first announced it, and so really just getting a price and release date on it now.
Yeah, and a lot of people were assuming this meant positional tracking for the headset itself, and that is not the case.
Does not seem to be, no.
Doesn't seem to be, unless they surprise us. But the controllers, which are positionally sort of locked and tracked once the device is on, will work like a Switch does. Those Switch controllers, if you've used those on your TV, you're probably wondering, how is this working without the traditional strip,
without the camera? Yeah,
for the Wii or for the Wii U? And the truth is, they've figured that out. So I suspect that's how that's going to work, and it's going to feel great. The real must buy for me one of these days for a mobile VR solution is when they get actual positional tracking down, and how that's going to be achieved. Nobody's sure yet without some sort of lighthouse or device outside of the headset, but that is really exciting. And there's stuff on the, there's things happening. So we'll see when that happens. But
yeah, Facebook's talked about some of their ways of approaching positional tracking without external sensors.
Mm-hmm. Also, it should be mentioned here, 129, I think that's only, 30 more than the original Gear VR?
Yep. Although now it's above 100, right? And the Gear VR's big thing was, hey, we're cheap. Now they're not cheaper than the Daydream VR.
But they come with this controller. So I don't know. Like I feel like that's a nice little happy medium. I also think that Oculus, being as involved in this as they are, I know it's not exactly the same as they are with their own headset, but their own stumbling blocks they've run into by not including controllers with their first run of the Oculus home system was a major mistake for them. I think they're still paying for that mistake, despite the fact that their new controllers are widely thought to be really great and awesome. That was a little too late for a lot of buyers, and it's kind of stagnated their sales. So I think it's good for them to come out with a reasonably priced product that has controllers included, so that people are getting a real VR experience, not just an excuse to watch 360 video.
Samsung also announced an updated Gear 360 VR camera. Can record in 360 degrees like it should, but supports 4K. Has a new design, new grip that's easier to hold. It's compatible with Android 5 and later, and iOS 10 devices and later, as well as Windows and Mac. Samsung also announced its first Wi-Fi system, the Samsung Connect Home. Each unit can connect to others for wider coverage, so it's like an Eero or the Google Home. An app called Samsung Connect manages the system, but only available on the S8 at launch, though they did say it'll eventually come to more Android devices and probably iOS. So this is not something that all of you are going to be able to take advantage of. The app can also manage devices on Samsung's SmartThings platform, and the Connect Home can connect by Zigbee and Z-Wave, so it can work with Philips Hue and all that sort of thing. The Home will come in a pack of 3, and they're also selling another version for people who don't have a big place and just need a single unit. That's the Connect Home Pro. It's got a little faster processor and a little faster Wi-Fi. Actually, it's got 4x4 instead of 2x2, which is meant for solo use in smaller houses. No price release date on any of that, though.
Well, okay. I will say this. I hope the iOS app comes, because it sounds like it'll control my security cameras, which I have right now from Samsung, and their current app for doing that is an egregious abomination to humanity. It's horrible.
Well, okay, but are you going to buy a Connect Home just to do that?
I just want the app. Can they give me the app?
No, the app is for Connect Home. And
but
then
if it's on iOS, can I just go get it? Is it possible just to go get? I'm just saying, if it's on iOS, that means it's on the App Store. It means it's up there, right?
Yeah, but it controls the Connect Home, and that's how it connects with the other stuff.
I want it to control my cameras.
Then buy a Connect Home. That's what Samsung's trying to do here, right?
I hate that they're doing that. Just because I bought those just recently, and
which cameras did you buy?
They're forgot the names. They're Samsung something. Somebody recommended them. I think it was my brother-in-law recommended them, and I like them a lot. They're great.
Well, maybe they'll update that app too.
That would be great, because right now it looks like iOS 4, and it looks like it's running on like an iPhone 3. It's awful. Anyway.
Well, see, here's let me just solve this for you, Scott. Buy a Samsung Galaxy S8 or S8 Plus and a Connect Home pack whenever it comes out at whatever price they want to charge you.
Done.
Problem solved.
Yeah, we're all done now. I don't know.
Samsung is like, we've got this covered, Scott. You just need to live in our universe. That's
I don't know
all.
what I was thinking. It's all solved now. I know. Listen, next time I have a conundrum like this, I'm calling you.
Yeah, or just call Samsung, apparently. This is the thing. I was actually kind of excited, like, ooh, good. Another competitor in this space for all of these mesh Wi-Fi routers. I think that's great. The more choice we have, the better options we'll get. And then they come out like, and the app is good on the S8. That's it. Not even any of our other phones yet. Oh gosh. Just lock in like that just never plays.
I was really hoping also for, this is slightly off the topic of the home stuff, but I was really hoping they would have come out and said, oh, and by the way, now we are day and date on Android updates. I think there are a lot of people in the market who are buying Pixels and previously bought Nexus phones who are in it to win it with updates when they come out. And the fact that you still can't do that on a flagship Samsung phone, I know frustrates personal Android friends of mine. So that would have been a really nice little piece of frosting on the cake that would further distance everybody from Batterygate that I brought up again.
That you had to bring up again. Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Let's get to our pick of the day from James Tisdale. He said, your conversations the last couple of days got me thinking about my favorite books in the technology section category. Monday's talk of fears of AI got me thinking of Daniel Suarez's 2 books, Demon and Freedom TM. We could be just one Silicon Valley mogul's death away from living in that world. Tuesday's talk of controlling things with your mind makes me think of Dennis E. Taylor's book, We Are Legion, We Are Bob. Here, the book looks at what it would be like to have yourself cryogenically frozen, then wake up to find you are now a bodiless AI program. Personally, I would much rather live in Suarez's world, but hope that we do someday get the tech level that would make Taylor's possible. Thanks for the great shows. I'm proud to be a Patreon backer. Thank you, James.
Oh, that's awesome. I have not read any of these books, but now I want to, especially the one about waking up an AI. I have no idea how that resolves well. I assume someone gets their body back. That was maybe
or do they?
But I'll have to read it and find out. Also, regarding the future of advanced neural lace, Alan wrote in, says, imagine some people will continue to use feature brains, mostly older people. Other people, perhaps younger and or wealthier, will use smart brains that do not require an external device. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to be one of the old men stuck on the feature brain that's all external AR glasses and stuff. That's
probably. And lastly, he says there is an advertising tech. A while back, I read a listicle of wacky brain technology implications. And one of them had to do with having tech in your brain that affects your thoughts and can deliver ads. Did you really have that idea or desire, or did an ad put it there? The whole concept is kind of scary.
Yeah, security. I mean, we got a lot of emails of people poking holes like, great, as soon as it gets hacked and then your brain's, ransomware. Yes, security, obviously, always a big problem with that. But this one particularly I liked because of the idea of advertisers just like, I want a Coke. Wait, why did I think that?
Ooh.
Did I really think that?
Then it starts to really wrap into itself. Let me ask you this question. Speaking of ransomware, how much do you think your brain will go for on the dark web? But
that's not the way ransomware works. Ransomware works by finding out how much a company can afford. Then you lock up their data and charge them what you think they can afford to pay.
Oh, okay. Well, then same question, just with that in mind. Literally. So
I would have to tell you how much. I'd have to look at how much salary I make. I mean, basically, you're asking me to give you a percentage of my salary.
Well, okay, let me back this up. This is the way I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Some old lady's using Windows. She clicks on an ad she shouldn't. She now has some kind of malware. It has locked her computer up, and she gets a message that says, unless you send us 50 Bitcoins, we're going to wipe your whole thing.
You're right.
And if somebody sent that to you and said, yeah, we've got access to your brain, you thought about the wrong ad and it was malware, we now control your brain, and unless you pay us 400 Bitcoins, we're not giving your brain back. That's a much darker scenario, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm thinking it probably wouldn't lock down your brain. It would just reduce you to only your own thoughts. So at that point, you can't take advantage of the neural lace, which you've become dependent on. It could be pretty compelling to want to pay that. Yeah.
That's actually a book I'd read also. That's not bad.
Regarding AI replacing jobs, Ricuse7 pointed out that bank tellers in the early 2000s actually increased after ATMs came on the scene because they actually changed from transactional tasks to more cognitive work. Roles got restructured and less overall staff was needed to run a bank, but the upshot was that the cost per bank decreased, allowing more brick and mortar banks to come on the market for the same cost that it always was, which increased market saturation. Since then, banks have backed off a bit, some, but because they built too many brick and mortar, some because they actually were hurt by the 2008 economic turndown. This back off, as well as some bad press recently, has only given rise to credit union success and even more jobs. But point being that you had more tellers after ATMs came out, which is everybody thought, oh, we won't have any more teller jobs after ATM. So that's a good point.
When more computers and more Lotus 123 copies came out, there were more accountants than there were before that.
And we got out of order here real quick. So let me just do this one. Hometown Rival yesterday. If you didn't hear our post show, found that you can set up two-step verification for an Apple ID. We were saying you can't set up two-factor authentication without owning an iOS device, but you can do two-step. The difference being two-step verification sends you a text message to any text message capable phone. So you still need a phone, but it doesn't have to be an Apple phone. So thank you, Hometown Rival, for finding that. And we'll have a link to that support link in the show notes.
Alina Gazanova, I know I got that right.
Gazanova.
Sent this question through Patreon regarding the number of services like Facebook and Google allowing for location sharing, which seems to be on the rise. They asked this: is this an indication of of acceptance that our location is just another asset of personal information sets, a big part of which is already shared? Does that mean that big giants like Google and Facebook can shape the average user?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting question because we've had all kinds of location sharing services, Find My iPhone, Latitude, et cetera, and they just keep coming back because it's a thing people want to do, and yet it's got privacy implications. And I don't know if it's an indication of acceptance that your location is another asset of personal information. But I also don't hear, I think Alina's right, I don't hear as many people concerned about the terms under which your location is shared, and is it also shared with Facebook / Google, whoever, and do they get to keep that, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, those apps, they're always asking for permission. So in some cases, I think that they do. The question is, will they ever get to the point where Tom will be at the mall and it knows where in the mall you are and will nudge you towards Victoria's Secret because you're...
Well, yeah, it can already do that with Beacon and things like that, right? Right. The question is it going, if I've turned off Beacon and say, don't share with my location, but then I use Facebook to share my location, does suddenly Facebook start doing that because I shared my location with Scott?
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's pretty interesting. By the way, total aside here, do you ever go to a Victoria's Secret without your wife?
No.
Me either. I can't.
Well, because she also doesn't go there either.
Well, my wife, not really either. But if I've ever been in, it's always with her. And the reason I can't is it's creepy if you're just a dude in there. So this is a small PSA that has nothing.
Own it, man. You got there's no shame. Everybody listen to the recent We Have Concerns on a similar topic.
All right.
Just go. It's all good.
Yeah, it's
All
creepy.
cool.
Weird.
No, I don't go there because she doesn't go there either. Hey, everybody, thank you for being with us. And thank you, Scott Johnson. Of course, lots of things going on at Frog Pants Network. What do you got lately?
So if you like daily tech news, maybe you'll like daily not tech news. That's just goofy and fun. And we talk about the regular news and all kinds of weird stuff. And I have great guests on, like Tom on Wednesdays and other people other days of the week. So maybe that sounds good to you. And you don't like really the Bob and Tom / Morning Zoo style radio show. Well, I have a great alternative for you that has now been on the air for 1,227 episodes. And you can find it over at frogpants.com/TMS. That's short for the morning stream. If you like daily content, then maybe add one more to your iPod or whatever, your iPod. What is it, 2009? Anyway, go check it out.
Put it on your Creative Nomad.
frogpants.com/TMS.
It's worth listening to. It's a good time. I highly recommend it. Thanks to everybody who gives a little value back to this show for the value they get from it. That's our proposition. If you enjoy this show and you get some value, we just ask you to put a little value back in, including Amber Elstad, Ken Archie, Linda Preston, and many, many more at patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. See you then.
This podcast is part of the Frog Pants Studios Network. For more information about this audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
That was a classic you played.
Kicking it old school today.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That was a last minute decision.
Oh, good.
I just saw it sitting there still on my soundboard.
I think our order got out of order on emails because I have things zoomed in a bit and I skipped.
Oh, that's all right. That was fine. Actually, that email that you read about Neuralace came out of our pick of the day conversation a lot nicer anyway. So
Yeah, that was weird. That's why it felt normal to me. And
yeah,
then
yeah.
when I went, oh shoot, we've missed something.
It may not have been on purpose, but it was probably a good thing. So
don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. That kind of
yeah.
Oh, that was great.
Titles?
Yeah, title me up.
More ways to gain weight. Get it? More ways to gain weight.
Oh, Dunkin' Donuts. Got it.
Yeah. Intel chips away at 10 nanometers. I'm trying to figure that one out. Samsung S8 inch stock. Oh, in stock. S8 in stock. Sorry.
Ain't in stock. Oh, I don't know.
Samsung S8 in stock.
I'm going to say if it doesn't make sense, you're free to skip it.
Skip it. All right. Unlock with your face. One rule to rule no one. What's the mind worth? ISPing at your data. Ways.
Oh, ISP King. Yeah. I get it.
Not ways. Now everyone can eat with just one.
ISP King Duck.
Ha 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 ha. Do you know the ways to donut glazed?
I get it, but I kind of like how it rhymes.
Yeah, it's just one rule to most.
There's another Waze one down here.
All these are a little too clever, I think.
Unlock
I'm trying to think of something that's. What's the mind worth? Galaxy fans' appetites. S8ed.
I like the sound of yesterday's internet, but I can't think of what the reference was. What was that about?
I don't know.
Yesterday's.
I'm slow too.
That's not
Samsung's Avengers Infinity Screen.
Oh jeez.
A lot of ways donut titles in here.
Yeah.
Satan stock.
You'll get no privacy and like it.
You don't have any privacy, and we're not going to insure it.
Yeah.
Have it your ways at Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, I get it. Galaxy fans' appetites
Sated.
Sated.
Oh, that one's not bad. I like that one.
It's not bad. Sated.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that one.
That's pretty good.
Is that we're gonna go with that one?
Mm-hmm.
Line
All
up
right.
the charts.
Done. My need for a title is sated.
What are your sterling suggestions, Mr. Rogers? I don't have any today.
Sterling.
Sometimes you just don't have one. It's okay.
It's all right. It's okay.
Spun the bad weave in the chat room. Sorry. Have it your ways.
Galaxy fans' appetite sated. Because they've had an appetite for a new Galaxy phone. Look at all those leaks. It's actually one of the things that was really odd about this announcement day is I listened to the announcement, but I didn't need to. Because A, almost everything they announced had been leaked. And B,
lots of Trump in the news tonight.
Sorry.
Everybody posted their NDA announcement pieces exactly at 8 a.m. as the announcement began. So I just ended up reading all those instead of listening closely because they had all the announcements. And I'll be honest, I really like that. I don't want to have to sit there and wait 90 minutes to make sure I got everything.
I kind of like that too.
Yeah.
This, I mean, it's fun. It seems like a one more thing is I kind of prefer what you just said.
I can listen to the onstage thing to hear if there's any other nuances and enjoy the celebration or whatever, but I don't have to feel like, oh, come on, I just need to write this piece. Just finish up already. It's a me thing.
Methane.
Methane, like cows.
Cow farts.
Yeah. It's an untapped source of power. Mark my words. Put a hose back there. Punk.
So how do I get more people to review Pilot X?
Send out review books to.
Did that.
Oh.
No, I'm not talking about those kind of reviews, although that also is important. I'm talking about Amazon reviews. Because apparently if you get 100 Amazon reviews, then it really starts to help the discoverability. And I have 63. So I just need 37 more reviews.
I don't know. I have no idea on Amazon. Is it like... Read
I
my
just
book.
need people to go and review it on Amazon, is what I'm saying.
I could create...
Amazon's hard. Yeah, you got to get legitimate reviews. There's no gaming the system. Strike It Rich says beg.
Donate your book to a college writing class.
It's an interesting thought.
Read my book, please.
Read my
Or you
book.
could do what's his name? James Patterson.
Send out a fake news rumor that J.J. Abrams is in talks to option it.
Oh, really? That'll do it.
Oh, Waffleophagus asks, if I buy it on Audible, can I review it on Amazon and have it not be a throwaway review? Yes, you can.
You sure can.
You sure can. If only there was a Diamond Club show that was a cult that would do anything you want. And that I was on last night.
Were you on last night?
Yeah, I was on Night Attack last night.
Nice. Man, and yours is a real book. Their stuff they got up at #1 was a fake book.
Right? My family members haven't reviewed it, no. I don't know that they will.
Maybe when you cross borders, you just have a bunch of those books with you, and they ask you, what's in the duffel bag? Books. Would you like a copy?
Will that get them to review it, though?
You could say, like, I don't know, there might be something lewd or suggestive, but you'll have to read the entire book.
All right. There's no bad ideas. It's brainstorming.
Some reporters love, you must read this book and determine whether or not this American is allowed in our country.
I also don't want to be sitting there at the border waiting for them to finish reading it before I'm allowed in, though.
Don't you have any faster readers?
It's not that long of a book. Come on. Oh, I know. Peds is like, no gaming the system. Tell that to blah, blah, blah. Yes, you can absolutely game the system, but if you get caught, they punish your author, which some people don't mind if they're not real. But I do. So
yeah,
I don't want to.
Asking Tom to do that is like asking rain to be dry.
Well, also, Patricia Harkins Bradley is not a real author, so when they gamed the system to get her up there, there was virtually no worry of repercussions.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't want people to like create a bot or something like that. That's.
What if I paid people to read it and then review it?
I don't know. I think
just don't tell Tom. You'll be fine.
Amazon started cracking down on that lately too.
Did they?
But really, as long as you've actually read it, that's all that matters. If you buy it through Amazon, they don't make you do the quiz. But if you haven't bought it through Amazon, they actually give you a quiz now.
Oh, interesting. Wait, who comes up with the quiz?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? That means that person that has to have read it.
I don't know if it's a person or if it's just a bot that knows like how to ask the right things.
I am a bot programmed in self-awareness and context and subtext.
Go to a Harmontown taping and storm the stage.
Beep, boop, beep.
Beep, boop, beep.
I do not understand subtext.
I was not programmed to game the system.
I have no emotions to tweak.
Well, I guess I'll limit it to having a long conversation on our post show. That'll be my approach for now. Please review it on Amazon if you haven't already.
It's tricky.
Hire one of those Russian spam company, not Russian, but like.
Oh, no, but that's a way to get banned because if you get caught.
Yeah.
Well, if we put it on torrent sites so people think it's illicit, it must be good.
I don't know if Inkshares are like that. If it was just my own book, I'd already do that. I don't think if you buy it on Audible, you get the quiz, Waffleophagus, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I think because Audible's owned by Amazon, you get grandfathered over. Grandfather. Is that my mother on the phone? Okie doke. I am done with the edits, and we are published, and we are off to enjoy Samsung Day. Have the S8ed day, everyone.
Gather around the Samsung tree and throw out an old Gold Star television.
Yeah. Top it with a Bixby and trim it with S Pens.